Hello, I am Badri Shaparna. I am a business leader with over 25 years of experience in various industries, working in various capacities, including business development and strategy. Today I am going to talk about how a simple, small looking business, well aligned with the organization goals, can do wonders. The company where I was working had a background that at a corporate level they had to focus on two principal businesses. One was pharmaceutical, healthcare, and biotechnology. And they had a set of products which went into the process scale as well as something which assured quality at the manufacturing level. This was at the corporate level. At the unit level, I had to look at applications which was not from these segments. Customers should not be from these segments. Markets had to be totally different, which means essentially I had to do a business development aligned with the organization, which principally meant that I had to practically look at new applications, new customers, and new markets. Still, the deliverables for me were all the same. I had to grow the top line, I had to grow the bottom line, return on capital employed, productivity per person, gross contribution, market and competition intelligence. This was very important because most of us do the market intelligence and competitive intelligence information for our own businesses. But we need to put it into the organization data system also because it will help the other groups. And this is where we did wonders. I had to give you some background about the business which I am talking about. This was typically a product which was meant for evolving the qualification for high-tech industries, including automotive and other engineering and technology industries. We had a set of products which were inherited quite some time back during the internal reorganization. Out of these products, we found that some of them were developed way back in 1965 for NASA for very critical applications of qualifying their components before launch to the space. Unfortunately or fortunately, how you call, now the same products which were at high tech in those days, this I am talking about the late 90s, was run through distribution channels sold as catalog items. So you see the big change that had taken place for the products. Still, the manufacturing continued to be in USA and Japan, while the whole business development was taking place in Asia, which meant the products were at a high price index. And obviously for product managers, because they had a lot of other high-end performing products, this was a low performing product. And they were all sold discreetly and they had no singular published purpose. Which meant that the biggest challenge for me in developing this business was putting them together, giving them some meaning, seeing whether they are really saleable, and anything which I did had to be aligned with the strategy of the organization. What we did? First of all, we grouped these two products, several of these products, into two categories. One was called a basic kit, another was called a professional kit. The basic kit primarily addressed the fundamental needs of any organization. Professional kit had several versions because it was an add-on, built on depending on the customer need. That means we put these products together to give a meaningful value to the end user, which did not exist until now. Second one was we teamed up with several essential peripheral suppliers like weighing balance, oven, which if put together brought in more value to the end user. We identified the right target markets: manufacturing industries, automotive and high technology industries. As we went and supplied the product, initially we found that we had two situations. Because it was a quality tool, we had two results. One is, there was a target of quality set by the customer. We achieved as measured, or we did not achieve. If we achieved, we found a solution how to maintain. If we did not, then we gave a solution how to achieve. Which meant we never let this quality tool become just a measuring tool. We made it a monitoring tool, a value add tool, which could be used across the company. And in the process, we created Millipore Value, which was a brand name, extension of the brand name, which is even run today in the industries. Our approach was fundamentally the business building blocks approach. This has very strong precedence, primarily because anything which you use is strong enough, gives support, and it is self-supporting and self-propagating. This is how the building blocks approach looks like, which we used to. It has 3 layers: the foundation, the critical success factors, and the tools. The foundations involved identifying the customer needs in a proper way, typically focusing on tier 1 and tier 2 customers because we need to have initial success, and they were more responsive based on our desk study. Any result which we got, we segmented them, whether it is a business, whether it was an interaction, we segmented so that we could put some trends, some performance, some supportive actions as a group action from the organization. We used a lot of communication between the organization, shared our know-how, but please remember, all we did with non-disclosure agreement, because the information which we were collecting in the whole process and sharing from our side was sensitive to both the organizations. We wanted to make sure that it is not misused, hence we made sure we had non-disclosure agreements. We had our own strengths of the organization, even customer had their own strength, we leveraged them. We learned many things in the field. As I said, we put many products together and we reached to the customer through the right channel partners. Many of the times directly, sometimes through indirect channels. This is the foundations on which our whole building block approach was based. Next, the critical success factors. It's not just enough you do good things, you need to get results also. This is the result for the organization. As you can see, we need margins, sustainable margins, and we need repeat revenue because we need to build our business. But for the customer, he did not have to go to anybody else. It was sufficient if he came to us, which means we gave end-to-end solutions. But most importantly, we still had to make sure that the overall affordability index of him was met. Each segment had different indices. We brought together our own learnings, pooled them in such a way that we were able to make it profitable for us and profitable for the customer. The tools which we used were, as I said, these products were made in USA and Japan, and we had to localize and I had to work through internally to get the technology transfer. Target costing. There was no more price fixing. It was keeping the end product of the customer in mind, how much he can invest, some initial discussions with the customer, some our own understanding, some practical probabilities of how we can cost the product. Finally, we came out with the target costing, which was, as we went ahead, we refined it based on the segments. Because it had many subcomponents which are not common. Then we bundled the installation and commissioning services, which was a value add to the customer, during which we did the training, enabled these people to handle the product properly. Also, we did the process audit to tell the customer how to look at problems, how to look at improvement areas, how to sustain their quality levels. To help all this, we correlated our performances with the standards, international standards, and at the end of it, we told the customer, cost of ownership is what gives the value, because many times we do activities which appear very low value, low cost, but it doesn't give real advantage to the company. So this is where we brought in the cost of ownership, where we eliminated unwanted things, made sure that anything which was done was a value add to the customer. So all this put together became the building blocks. So what were the results? We had a market share of more than 75% by 2007. Most interestingly, the same product groups inside our organization which were feeling that it was low performance, they started replicating in their geographies. Well, why? Because it gave a lot of cash to the customer and themselves, and it was well aligned with the corporate objectives. So to sum up, please remember, any business which you do, though it looks disparate from the main objective, can always bring in value if you work in the right direction. Thank you.